Hey everyone, welcome back to the Track Limits podcast presented by Formula Addict. We're here in Creator Club in Toronto. The Austin Grand Prix has just ended. There is quite a bit to unpack. Initial thoughts, I would love to hear it. Henny.
First of all, is Stroll confirmed in P9 or is that penalty pending?
Pending, potentially. I believe for now we're going to go with...
start? It was something with a start?
Yeah. He drove in. That would be interesting.
For now, though, we'll continue going off that. Obviously, if things change, guys, we'll make sure to highlight it.
Exactly. I mean, this was the toughest, I think, race for Max that he had to endure with the mechanical issues. It would have been interesting if it was another driver that was forcing that to happen, but it was his own car that cost him a lot of issues today, and he still managed to push it and get that win. If there was like 2 more laps, Lewis would have honestly that would have been a fight for the ages.
Or if he pitted a bit earlier, I was shouting at the TV the whole time. I'm like, come on. Everyone's going for the 2-stop strategy. Yeah, I was gutted. I was really gutted.
Hannah Schmitz, she knew. She's like,
She predicted like 30 laps in advance. She knew how it was going to play out. Yeah, literally.
Well, yeah, this is why they're there, and we just pretend to know what strategy is. I'm like, one stop strategy. Let's go at like the 22nd lap. I'm like, hang on, there's like 44 more laps. On how can he do this on what? No. Yeah.
Even with Mercedes, though, I mean, I think we were all chatting about pit stops. I mean, it seemed like in the latter half of the race, they were pretty fine. Like putting especially Lewis on the medium tire. Great strategy, right? Final 15 laps, he was able to push really fast. Yeah. But I think the initial pit stop, he should have done that right after Lando pitted.
Yes.
Of course.
Yeah.
Not wait 5 laps where your driver's already complaining and he's locking up going into turn 7 or 8, whatever it was. Like, make the decision quicker to go and pit him so he does not lose out on track position.
Yeah. Oh, it was like 5 seconds or something.
Yeah.
He lost. And look at the end of the race.
That's what I'm saying. This is the race that he could have won if everything went perfectly. And even like the stops were a bit slow too. They were over 3 seconds. And I hate it. Well, they asked George the same thing, and George's like, yep, 1 stop. And I'm like, come on, you're on different strategies.
Especially in the pit stops. Like Mercedes lost that second.
I know.
Like 3.6 and then 3.4.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I know Max did, by the way, also have a slow stop. So fair enough. Like he also had like a 3.4, 3.5 or something. But again, the margins in F1 are so tiny, especially when you are not the fastest car or the fastest team. You need to make everything count. And Mercedes pit stops have been abysmal the whole year.
It's like they're choking. But no, for George, they were fine.
Oh, yeah, true. Actually, for George, they were okay. 2.5, though.
2.5. I mean, like, fine.
Standard of excellence.
I just felt like, okay, he had all the pieces that could have made for Lewis to win this race. And it just didn't go his way. But it was so nice for him to see him really fight tooth and nail at the end and by only 2 seconds. Like
2 seconds.
It was less. It was less.
I think it was 2.02 or something.
It came up again.
It kind of like, I hate the way like you can get DRS off back markers. Because on that last race, Max had DRS because the back marker was in front of him and Lewis was just outside of that. So it was 1.5 going into that last race.
Moment,
And then whatever, the DRS. But like, if it was 2 more laps, Lewis would have caught up to him. But it's a different story to overtake Max. Even if these tires or the brakes weren't, but you could hear in Max's voice, this was the first race where it was like,
he was challenged.
Yeah, he was struggling. Like, he was shouting at JP to stop talking.
But like, what was he doing? He gave him like 2 warnings. Didn't listen.
Under braking.
And then does it again. And he was like, come on.
But I guess we're listening. We're hearing the thing on TV, like delayed, because I'm like, he's not braking.
I know.
Like, it's like go straight. And you're like, sir, why are you braking?
Yeah, so that's pretty interesting. You had a couple of people who would have probably finished in the points that DNF'd. You had Ocon, you have Piastri, and you have Alonso. The incident at the beginning, Piastri, Ocon, racing incident, I think everyone is pretty clear on that, but unfortunate. Unfortunate.
But we need to talk about Ocon. Why does he keep putting himself in these positions? He has the most DNFs this season.
Does he?
Yes, he does. More than Sargent.
Can you believe it?
That's gone underneath the radar.
No, but a lot of it though wasn't really his. I thought a couple of them were like a couple were like reliability issues. Like I remember him pulling to the side, like
Singapore, for example.
Yeah. So I mean, and then he's in the mid pack, like or the middle pack. So he's really trying to get a good start. I mean, that's just kind of what happens.
I don't know. I think there's a level of aggressiveness and a level of maturity and awareness, because he keeps putting himself in those positions where he's making contact other than the mechanical issues. So you got to wonder. It's like Gasly was in that fight. Nothing happened to him. He finished in points. So you got to put that into perspective.
Was blessed.
He was blessed with the champion. Indeed.
So that might be it.
Hey, Rory, he had Rory on Saturday.
He did have Rory on Saturday.
Yeah. It goes both ways.
I don't know. I don't think I've ever stopped to think that hardly about
No one does.
Alcon's DNFs.
No.
I'll think about it and I'll report back with my thoughts next week.
Well, why don't you tell us, Feven, about Ferrari, though? Because as your team, we saw obviously a couple of memes. You had.
I have not been on social media at all.
Well, Leclerc started P1, ended up P6. Max started P6, ended up P1.
Yeah.
There's your contrast right there.
That honestly, is it sad that like as a fan now I've gotten to the point where I'm like I just accept this.
It become normal.
It is normalized, and I think it's so sad.
I'm
right?
sorry.
I know it is a really tough time to be a Ferrari fan.
Oh yeah.
Those signs did pretty well.
Yep.
And so I was happy about that. And think I was. Leclerc was on different tire. I think he was on medium. He
was
back
on hards.
It's at the second stint.
Oh no, he was the only one who went on a one stop strategy. And the whole time I'm like, oh my God, they're going to eat him alive. And when Checo passed, and I don't even know who else, Russell. Oh, Carlos.
Yeah, just those two, yeah.
And I was just shaking my head. And of course, just like the clowns that the strategy.
But Henny, you were mentioning to me that when they offered him Plan C or Plan D, whatever those are, I think it was probably lap 39 or 40 out of 56. And if he had pit, he actually might have been better off.
Yeah, he would have dropped again to like P6 or P7, but then he would have had to fight with fresh tires with all of them again on the pack. So he would have probably
it would have been too much
Russell.
risk. Like what if they had a really slow stop? Then like he's now like it's the Hamilton, like a situation. Yeah. I actually agreed with him. It was way too late at that point. They should have pitted him when everyone else was going in. Yeah. Again, like this whole slow. Let's see. Like I don't know if they were waiting for a safety car.
Maybe.
And I was even saying like, but this track is too wide. Like this. Everything is bigger in Texas.
Yeah.
Like, there's no real like it's there isn't a lot of space for something to go horribly wrong outside of the start.
Yeah.
So I had no idea what was going on.
And then what about best moment, Mikey? What did you feel was the best moment of the race?
Best moment. Honestly, it was kind of just like it was the top three. Like it's been a while since we had a race where it hasn't been a 10-second lead to start. Like, sure, within the pit strategies, everyone was on their own different race, but you had Norris fighting tooth and nail.
Oh, yeah.
You had Lewis chasing down Max. And then Max was struggling. So it was a great dynamic. That, to me, was the best moment because coming into that last lap, there was a very real possibility.
Yeah, one lockup.
There was going to be one lockup. That's all it was going to take.
Oh, the way I was praying.
Lewis was pushing every lap as well. He was locking up in a few areas.
Yeah.
To me, those last 15 laps were just like, let's go. Like, I missed this. Like,
Henny, you'd agree?
Yeah, I would agree. I think best moment was, even as a Red Bull fan, it was nice for Max to be challenged. Oh, yeah. I really enjoyed that. I was even screaming at the end with Lewis battling. I was like, come on, we need to see this. Let's see this fight. It was great because I also think that we're starting to learn that Red Bull's the car's not perfect. There's weaknesses. They've complained since Friday that it kept bottoming him out. Every time it hit a bump, it was so unpredictable, that car. So it gives, I guess, more data points for other teams to be like, okay, now we know their weaknesses. We can work on that, enhance it so that in these specific track types, we have an advantage here and we can take it. So it was good to see it. And I think there was not much that happened in the race, strategy-wise. I think that was more entertaining than what actually happened in the race.
Yeah.
And that's why I was like, I enjoyed the Hannah Schmitz show.
Yeah. Feven, Hannah Schmitz show, was it entertaining for you too?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I sent you a text.
Yeah.
No, actually, I really enjoyed Yuki. Not only like just outperforming Danny Ricks, but then going out and blitzing it and getting the fastest lap point and maximizing. I'm like, yes,
let's go.
Because I was so fearful that Yuki was just going to succumb to pressure of like the name, the the brand that is Danny Ricks, and just like the amount of attention he has. So it was really good. It was really nice to see him really
do well
and just like race.
Yep.
Yeah.
Put your head down and race.
My best moment was actually commentary. One of our potential upcoming guests was commentating. I don't want to say who, but the quotation, which you might be able to predict, was, "I can't imagine how many wins Lando would have had if Max had been a lawyer."
Oh my God. If he chose a different career.
Yeah.
So that could be an upcoming guest, but definitely a great commentary job done by the people on F1 TV, which I enjoyed.
Yeah. That
Biggest
was fun.
surprise, biggest letdown. Anybody have one?
I was a bit disappointed with, not disappointed, it's not his fault, but Piastri, I was reading into it, he had a water leak. That's why they had to retire his car.
Right.
Because he could have done good as well. Because you see with McLaren, they've got a great car now. Lando had a great race, so.
He didn't qualify well, though.
No, but like that's kind of half the battle as well. Like he'd have to fight for it, and Piastri's well able to fight. So that's why I was looking forward to seeing a battle. That's why it was exciting today to see Max in 6th. I was a little bit like shaken or put off that Max didn't fly up through the pack. Like everyone was predicting, like, oh, lap 10 he'll be up there. It was lap 28 by the time Max, and he only got that because of people pitting. He stood out a little bit.
And Lando locked up.
Yep.
He couldn't catch up to him on those mediums. And again, a weakness is that car in a dirty air, when it's that pointy, those front tires are gone for Max. He was struggling. He couldn't get that pace to even take him unless they made a mistake. Right?
True. That's why when you think back of Perez, maybe we were giving him such a hard time because, like, Max never had to deal with that car in dirty air. He forget what it looks like to see the back end of another F1 car.
Yeah.
So you kind of maybe there is, like, as you said, a lot of flaws in that car that we're
100%.
slowly beginning to.
Though Max, I will say, obviously at the very end, it was very close between him and Hamilton. But there was actually a point at which Max was almost doing similar lap times on old hard tires compared to Lewis on fresh medium. They even brought that up in the cool down room where Lewis was just so defeated.
He was like, how are you doing that?
How are you doing this? So that's pretty incredible to see, even with nursing a braking issue. Like, if that car can do that, just imagine next race.
Yeah. Well,
oh my God.
James said it, James Hinchcliffe on, as he was presenting, said it clearly. He's like, this is a race where the numbers don't define what this race is about. Right. Because he's like, if Max was not going through these issues and he had a perfect car, perfect temperature, this would have been a different topic that we're discussing where Lewis wouldn't even be this close.
No.
So it's a perspective.
Yeah. Most surprising moment, Feven?
Surprising moment was when Norris gave up track and pitted early in the.
We were pretty shocked by that too.
Like so
We
shocked.
jumped out of our seats.
Like I couldn't believe when I saw in pit. Like I was like, who? Like it was just made again. I obviously I'm not a strategist, but that didn't make sense to me that so soon. And I think in the end that was probably what cost him at least.
We thought it was like a flat spot that the camera didn't catch. He probably lost down a corner, flat spotted his tires, and he's like, I can't continue on these.
Well, the Alfa Romeo they started the pit, right? I think it was Joe who went in first.
Yep.
And this is like the Ruth move. Like in the past, I don't remember which race, but they've scored points pitting early.
Qatar.
Was it both?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was.
Because she triggered, because then Williams also pitted and also Haas pitted because they wanted to cover off everybody.
But when Lando pit the second time, he went from hards to hards. So it wasn't like he even changed his compound. He just, I think, actually might have flat spotted his
100%.
tire. It was like an 11, 12 old hard tire.
Because we both were like, wait, why is he going on hard? Yeah, it just a lot of question marks. So I was surprised and like, kind of disappointed because I think that really hurt his race.
Yep. Outside of the race, comments from Max Verstappen on sprint weekend. I'm curious to get your guys' thoughts. He mentioned he's not a fan because when you look at a sprint race, you already know what's going to happen potentially in the Grand Prix. It takes a spectacle away, is what he said. Henny, do you agree with that? Are
100%.
you a fan?
100%.
So you would take it out altogether?
No, I think I have a mix. I think Christian said it correctly too, where he's like, I think there needs to be a change. He's like, yes, this adds a format of racing for fans to come out on Saturday and also increases the volume on Friday because you have that qualifying. So people will actually show up. I think it must be something like reverse grid, something that we can try.
That'd be fun.
Something different. But again, you have to then talk about, okay, well, then 10 drivers get points because then no one's going to be incentivized to actually race anymore if you're starting from the back of the grid. So I think it's some kind of a hybrid mode where we can still get points, reverse grid. Then you have something like today where you see Max and Hamilton starting from the back of the grid and fighting through. That's going to be fun to watch. And I would actually thoroughly enjoy that.
That would be cool. Reverse grid would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind that it's also just a short amount of like racing time. Like it's like 19 or 20 laps or whatever it is.
You don't pit like.
So there's no pit. So there's no pit strategy involved. So I don't mind it. Yeah. But again, I agree with him that like it takes you could almost predict what's going to happen because you could see how the other teams are performing. Now in hindsight, what that does also with the sprint, Aston Martin and Haas were able to like go back and change their setup because of the data that they have. So you could argue both sides, but I think it's the more races, the better. It's only when it's the awkward times that I complain.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, 4 a.m.
And there is also an argument to be said that sprint races could lead to different winners. Like, I know people were mentioning if Lando, for example, was where he started off, technically in today's race, if it was a sprint race in 19 laps, he would have won.
Yeah.
Right? Oscar won in Qatar. Like, it is kind of neat to see different winners as well if people do a terrible job in the sprint shootout.
Yeah.
Which I do like the format, by the way, of the sprint shootout in terms of different compounds for each Q1,
100%.
Q2, Q3. I really, really like that. But I agree with Henny. I think changing it a bit would be nice. Reverse grid would be incredible.
That would be fun.
And top 10, all get points. I love that.
Yeah. Or even like a mandatory stop.
Yeah.
Give them an extra set of tires, but have at least one strategy where they have to pit. Yeah. You have to test your pit crew also.
Yeah.
Then there's going to be mistakes to happen, right?
Okay, yeah, I see
so
what you mean.
making a mandatory, not giving them a lap time, but you need to do one stop.
Imagine the pit crew on a sprint Saturday. It's like, well, we're just
chilling.
here. Like, unless something really goes wrong.
Unless there's a virtual safety car.
Exactly.
We're
just here. We're just here.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Could be cool. A lot of new investors obviously came in for Alpine. Very cool to see the sport growing in that way. Obviously, the next race is the Mexico Grand Prix. Checo's home race.
Checo's under pressure.
We heard this, by the way, during the podium. People chanting Checo, Checo.
Really?
Oh yeah. People are excited.
Yeah, that's good.
I feel like we have been tracking Checo pretty much throughout the entire season. We almost talk about him on every episode.
Yeah.
I mean,
What does he have to do in his home Grand Prix? Does he have to get a podium, you think?
He has to.
Has to get a podium. I don't. Let's get the win out of the way, but a podium is a must. Or even qualifying P5 and above. You got to be P5 and above.
The points are 19 points
Exactly.
separating the two.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Like
It's between who? It's Lewis.
Lewis.
19 points. I would say whatever about qualifying, he's got to be top 5 in qualifying.
Yeah.
Because he's not able to fight through the pack.
No.
So I don't even know if he'll get podium in the race. But if he qualifies Q5 and he races and he's in top 5, I think he's done a hell of a good job.
Yep.
Because, and let's leave it at that. His home race as well, as long as he doesn't push like crazy and take someone out or take himself out, that's a big no-no. Like if he crashes out in Mexico, that's
going to be brutal.
Got to be very
Why would
tough.
you speak that into existence?
I'm just saying. Like today was a clean race for Checo.
Yep.
Last weekend he was at the back of the pack and he was getting track limits violations left, right, and center. It's like, what are you doing? Like,
Like he was choking. He was like just unraveling. But I think he's going to have basically all of Mexico behind him. That energy alone, I think he's going to want to come in with and the team's going to come in wanting with him to do really well, the best setup. Let's just hope that the car and him have a great qualifying.
The track as well should suit the Red Bull. It has one of the
100%.
longest straights as well, which is a long DRS zone coming into turn 1 and a couple of other obviously fast corners. So it shouldn't be a bad track for that Red Bull with DRS.
No, I don't even think so. And it doesn't even also have to be pointy at all. He can just focus on the rear and get his balance straight, and he has a good car on that track. I see no reason.
And cut in this clip really quickly. Mexico has the greatest podium of all time
it does.
for P1. They bring the car up, they bring the driver up. It's badass.
It's one of the best. It's like a show. It's literally an actual show.
Yeah.
But I'm really scared about the McLarens.
In what way?
That's a track that is going to be cool. It's not going to be as hot. And that car comes alive when it's very cold.
Yep, especially in clean air.
In clean air, we've seen it today. That car was a rocket in clean air. I'm scared. I don't think Red Bull has another easy win in them, even with Max on a perfect car.
Yeah.
It's going to be a scary, scary time.
Boom.
Let's hope for Ferrari too.
Stop. God, Jesus.
God, no.
We just went into
a better
fiction.
chance than Leclerc.
I mean, have you seen like last year? They overheated that car.
Yeah.
Their side pods, even this year, yes, they made it more. They added more spool to it, but I really think that is a car that's going to overheat again. So they're going to detune that engine.
Oh, hell.
So I don't think they're going to go that far this week.
And then,
bird's eye view on the championship. I think you mentioned it. 19 points separates Lewis and Checo. Anything else interesting?
Yeah, I can tell you a little bit. Alonso has dropped quite dramatically. Sainz is ahead of Charles Leclerc. Norris is actually nipping at Leclerc's.
And also then.
And give us a call down
basically, Leclerc's at 159. Norris is at 156.
Wow.
3 points.
And Sainz is where?
And Sainz is at 168.
Oh, man. That's
so really, like Norris could finish the season 5th.
That's cool.
Especially if Alonso just has abysmal few races for the next
Did McLaren pass Alpine now in the constructors?
A long time ago.
Alpine.
Oh, you mean Aston Martin?
Yeah, sorry.
They
passed
just
them
passed
today.
today.
Yeah.
So basically, it goes Red Bull, Mercedes, Ferrari, McLaren. It's quite the dramatic switch up from the first, first half of the season for McLaren.
They heard all our crap talk about them in the beginning of the season. They're like, we ain't taking it no more.
And should we talk about the F1 Academy quickly?
Yes, let's go,
Marta Garcia.
Marta Garcia.
That was brilliant.
That was brilliant. And McLaren also announced their first.
Yeah. It was cool. And also they finally streamed the races.
Yes.
About time. Like, gave us what we wanted.
Yeah. Which is good though, because this is like going into next year. I think this is going to continue to show and like have more of the current F1 viewers tuning in. It's on the same platform. It's great. It's fantastic. I'm so delighted. And all the press that I was seeing coming out of Austin this weekend with all the with Lewis
coming over, George.
George. It was just very nice to see.
Yeah, I love it.
I can't wait for more announcements. Like, I'm so curious who
signs
who signs where. Like, I'm really tuning in.
Yeah.
I was so shocked that McLaren announced this early because I thought in off season or I didn't know when.
I think they just wanted to nab Bianca, and I didn't even realize that until talking to Henny. I'm like, she is huge.
Yeah, she has a massive audience.
Huge audience.
She's huge.
Like 2 million combined probably on TikTok and Instagram.
Yes. So, I mean, she's also like very, very active and
social.
Big pickup, great driver. We're hoping to interview a couple of the Academy drivers over the next year, which should be really, really cool.
I'm talking to you, Susie.
Big call out.
I want to sit down and have a chat. Like I'm so excited about this initiative, and I just I want to throw myself completely into it. So yeah, Susie, let's chat, and all the drivers and mechanics.
Toto, let's chat. I want to talk to you too, bro.
Hey, yo, Lewis. What you saying?
He's like, I'm wearing the sweater.
You got a rep.
Hope you enjoyed this episode, guys. A ton of really cool things are in the works right now until the end of the season. By the way, I know it's been a long and grueling season so far, but we are only now entering the busiest stretch probably.
Triple header.
Header. So a lot of content to come out. Thank you again for your support. Drop your comments on what your favorite part of this weekend in this incredible weekend was.
Yeah.
And do let us know also, by the way, if you checked out our recent episode with Stuart Morrison, how you liked it. We will see you in the next episode.
Bye.